Headline edition, July 8, 1947.
One day, I was looking to the sky. I saw it. Up above the clouds, it was a silver shiny disc floating high above the ground. Then I saw them waving to me. It was E.T. and his family. Something happened, a missile from the ground. Through the sky, they shot the UFO down. Roswell, he didn't make it home. Roswell, he didn't make it home.
The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army.
One day, I was looking to the sky. I saw a UFO shot down. It was a silver shining disc, broken in pieces on the ground. Then I saw them lying there, bodies scattered everywhere. Something happened, a military show. Picked up the pieces and the case was closed. Roswell, he didn't make it home. Roswell, he didn't make it home.
Army officers say the missile, found sometime last week, has been inspected at Roswell, New Mexico, and sent to Wright Field, Ohio.
One day, as I was looking to the sky, I began to think for myself, what if another ship comes down to take E.T. home? Then it occurred to me, maybe this is Earth's destiny. Something like this won't happen anymore. No more missiles, no more UFOs down. Roswell, he didn't make it home. Roswell, he didn't make it home.
Headline edition will bring you special reports and interviews in a moment.
All right, welcome back. That was the song Roswell. That was the band UFO. You may recognize the voice. That's me. That is the song about Roswell and the incident that occurred in Roswell. This is the time of year when people take a look at this incident because this is the weekend when it occurred. As a matter of fact, this weekend going on in Roswell, New Mexico is a festival that's been going on now for, I believe, 22 years. And it's a really cool festival. I've been out there 6 times with UFO performing at their festival in a variety of places. I mean, there's been times when we were out there doing 10 shows over the course of the 3 days. I mean, it was a really awesome experience. So if you have a chance to get out there, you know, go see what's going on, even if you just go online and just look up some of the stuff. But I thought with the Roswell anniversary coming up, I thought it would be really good to get in and check out some of the information about it. So we're going to start here. This is over at Wikipedia. The Roswell UFO Incident. Mid-1947, a United States Air Force balloon crashed at a ranch near Roswell, New Mexico. Following wide interest in the crash flying disc, the U.S. military stated it was merely a conventional weather balloon. Interest subsequently waned until the late 70s when ufologists began promoting a variety of increasingly elaborate conspiracy theories claiming that one or more alien spacecraft had crash-landed and the extraterrestrial occupants had been recovered by the military, who then engaged in a cover-up. In the mid-90s, the U.S. military published 2 reports disclosing the true nature of the crashed object in a nuclear test surveillance balloon from Project Mogul. Nevertheless, the Roswell incident continues to be of interest in popular media, and conspiracy theories surrounding the event persist. Roswell has been described as the world's most famous, most exhaustingly investigated, and thoroughly debunked UFO claim. Okay, now the debunked part, this is a Wikipedia claim that somebody went ahead and edited in here, because I could tell you Roswell has not been debunked. Okay, they wouldn't be having a event every year at Roswell. It was debunked, so that is fake news. Here's a website, Roswell UFO Museum. This is really a very, very interesting museum. A lot of great artifacts and stories in there that you can learn about. It says an unidentified flying object crashed on a ranch northwest of Roswell, New Mexico, sometime during the week of July 1947. Actually, the ranch was about 70 miles outside of Roswell, so it didn't take place in Roswell. But when the metal debris was picked up, the airbase it was taken to was in Roswell. So rancher W.W. Mac Brazel later said he found the debris from the crash as he and the son of Floyd and Loretta Proctor rode their horses out to check on sheep after a fierce thunderstorm the night before. Brazel said that as they rode along, he began to notice unusual pieces of what seemed to be metal debris scattered over a large area. Upon further inspection, he said that he saw a shallow trench several hundred feet long that had been gouged into the ground. Brazel said that he was struck by the unusual properties of the debris, and after dragging large pieces of it off to the shed, he took some of it over to show the Proctors. Miss Proctor, who later moved from the ranch to the house closer in town, said she remembers Brazel showing up with the strange material. The Proctors told Brazel that he might be holding wreckage from an alien spacecraft. The number of UFO sightings had been reported in the United States that summer, or a government project, and that he should report the incident to Chavez County Sheriff George Wilcox. A day or two later, Brazel drove into Roswell, the county seat, and reported the incident to Wilcox, who reported to Major Jesse Marcel, intelligence officer for the 509th Bomb Group, stationed at Roswell Army Airfield. In their book, A History of UFO Crashes, UFO researcher Don Schmidt and Kevin Randall say that the research shows military radar had been tracking an unidentified flying object in the skies over southern New Mexico for 4 days. On the night of July 4th, 1947, the radar indicated the object had gone down about 30 to 4 miles northwest of Roswell. The book says eyewitness William Woody, who lived east of Roswell, said he remembered being outside with a father the night of July 4th, 1947, when he saw a brilliant object plunge to the ground. The debris site was closed for several days while the wreckage was cleared, and Schmidt and Randall said that when Woody and his father tried to locate the area of the crash they had seen, Woody said they were stopped by military personnel who ordered them out of the area. Schmidt and Randall said Marcel, after receiving the call from Wilcox and subsequent orders from Colonel William Blanchard of the 509th commanding officer, went to investigate Brazel's report. Marcel and Captain Sheridan Cavett, senior counterintelligence corps agent, followed the rancher off-road to his place. They spent the night there, and Marcel inspected a large piece of debris Brazel had dragged from the pasture. Monday morning, July 7th, Marcel took the first step onto the debris field. Marcel would remark later that something must have exploded above the ground and fell. As Brazel, Cavett, and Marcel inspected the field, Marcel was able to determine which direction it came from and which direction it was heading. It was in the pattern. You could tell where it started out and where it ended by how it had thinned out. According to Marcel, the debris was strewn over a wide area, I guess maybe 3/4 of a mile long and a few hundred feet wide. Scattered in the debris were small bits of metal that Marcel held a cigarette lighter to see if it would burn. Along with the metal, Marcel described a weightless I-beam-like structure that were 3/8 inch by 1/4 inch, none of them very long, that would either bend or break. Some of these I-beams had indecipherable characters along the length in 2 colors. Marcel also described metal debris, the thickness of tin foil that was indestructible. After gathering enough debris to fill his staff car, Marcel decided to stop by his home on the way back to the base so he could show his family the unusual debris. He'd never seen anything quite like it. I didn't know what we were picking up, he said. I still don't know what it was. It could not have been part of an aircraft, not part of any kind of weather balloon or experimental balloon. I've seen rockets sent up at White Sands testing grounds. It definitely was not part of an aircraft or missile or rocket. Under hypnosis conducted by John Watkins in May 1990, Jesse Marcel Jr. remembered being awakened by his father that night and following him outside to help carry a large box filled with debris. Once inside, they emptied the container of debris onto the kitchen floor. Jesse Jr. described the lead foil and I-beams. Under hypnosis, he recalled the writing on the I-beams as purple, strange. Never saw anything like it. Different geometric shapes, leaves, and circles. Under questioning, he said the symbols were a shiny purple. They were small. There were many separate figures. This too under hypnotic regression. Marcel said he was saying it was a flying saucer. I asked him what a flying saucer is. I don't know what a flying saucer is. It's a ship. Dad's excited. Marcel reported that he found to Blanchard, showing him pieces of the wreckage, none of which looked like anything Blanchard had ever seen. Meanwhile, Glenn Dennis, a young mortician working at Ballard Funeral Home, received some curious calls one afternoon from RAAF morgue. The base mortuary officer said he was trying to get a hold of some small, hermetically sealed coffins and also wanted to know how to preserve bodies that had been exposed to the elements for a few days and avoid contaminating the tissue. Dennis later said that evening that he drove to the base hospital where he saw large pieces of wreckage with strange engravings on one of the pieces sticking out of the back of a military ambulance. He entered the hospital and was sitting with a nurse he knew when suddenly he was threatened by military police and forced to leave. The next day, Dennis met with the nurse who told him about the bodies discovered with the wreckage and then drew pictures of them on a prescription pad. Within a few days, he was transferred to England. Her whereabouts remain unknown. At 11 a.m., July 8, 1947, Lieutenant Walter Haught, RAAF Public Information Officer, finished a press release Blanchard had ordered him to write, stating that the wreckage of the crash disk had been recovered. He gave copies to the 2 radio stations and both at the local newspapers. By 2:26 p.m., the story was on the Associated Press wire. The Air Force here today announced the flying disc had been found. As calls began to pour into the base from around the world, Lieutenant Robert Shirkley watched the MP carry loaded wreckage onto the C-54 from the 1st Transport Unit. To get a better look, Shirkley stepped around Colonel Blanchard, who was irritated with all the calls coming into the base. Blanchard decided to travel out to the debris field and left instructions that he had gone on leave. Blanchard sent Marcel to Fort Army Air Base, later Carswell Air Base, to report to Brig General M. Ramsey, commanding officer of the 8th Air Force. Marcel told Hout later that he had taken some of the debris into Ramsey's office to show him what had been found. The material was displayed on Ramsey's desk for the general when he returned. Upon his return, Ramsey wanted to see the exact location of the debris field, so he and Marcel went to the map room down the hall, but when they returned, the wreckage that had been placed on the desk was gone and the weather balloon was spread out on the floor. Major Charles A. Cachon took the now famous photo of Marcel with the weather balloon in Ramsey's office. It was then reported that Ramsey recognized the remains as part of a weather balloon. Brigadier General Thomas Dubose, the Chief of Staff of the 8th Air Force, said it was a cover story, the whole balloon part of it. That was part of the story we were told to give to the public and news, and that was it. Later that afternoon, Haught's original press release was rescinded and an officer from the base retrieved all the copies from the radio stations and the newspaper offices. The next day, July 9th, a second press release was issued stating that the 509th Bomb Group had mistakenly identified a weather balloon as a wreckage of a flying saucer. On July 9th, reports went out that the crashed object was actually a weather balloon. Cleanup crews were busily cleaning the debris. Bud Payne, a rancher at Corona, was trying to round up the stray when he reported by military and carried off the Forster Ranch. Broadcaster Jude Roberts and Walt Whitmore were turned away as they approached the debris field. As the wreckage was brought to the base, it was created and stored in a hangar. Back in town, Walt Whitmore and Lynn Strickland saw their friend Mac Brazel, who was being escorted to the Roswell Daily Record by 3 military officers. He ignored Whitmore and Strickland, which was not at all like Mac, and once he got to the Roswell Daily Record offices, he changed his story. He had claimed that he had found the debris on June 14th. Brazel also mentioned that he had found weather observation devices on 2 other occasions, but what he found this time was no weather balloon. Las Vegas Journal, along with dozens of other newspapers, carried the AP story. Reports of flying saucers whizzing through the sky fell off sharply. Today, as the Army and the Navy began a concentrated campaign to stop the rumors. The story also reported that the AFF headquarters in Washington had delivered a blistering rebuke to officers at Roswell. The military had tried to convince the news media from that day forward that the object found near Roswell was nothing more than a weather balloon. Okay, so the cover-up began, and here it is all these years later, and the cover-up is still in full swing. If you click on this link here that says the museum, kind of take a little tour here to see what's in the museum, the different objects. There's the outside of the museum. Okay, here's this little tour of the museum. See if we can take this. Nope, it's not going to let us do it right here. But if you go and you check out these links, you could certainly find about it. Alright, and then I have one other here. This is called the Roswell Incident, and this is something for you to check out. It's the same story over and over, but this is one you could see a lot of names that you recognize that are part of this particular project here. Nick Pope, Josh Gates, Linda Moulton Howe, have Richard Dolan, Chase Kozecki, Chuck Zukowski. Okay, so met a lot of these folks when I was out there. Doug Ziegelmeyer, Race Hopkins, Dave Marler. So a lot of people really investigating this. It's a very, very interesting story that has captured the imagination for a long time. Here's the Roswell site for the events taking place this weekend at their festival. Okay, so very, very interesting. It's a fun experience if you have a chance to get out there. And here's one more. This is called the Roswell Files. So this is Crash Flying Saucer, Alien Base Area 51. The story of the Roswell Incident has it all. UFOs, the Majestic 12 cover-up conspiracy, alien bodies, cover-ups, a missing nurse, the stuff of legends. But like all popular legends, there are as many versions as there are storytellers. The truth about Roswell may be out there, but it has been shouldered by faulty and conflicting rumors, hoaxes, and sometimes deliberate lies. Deliberate lies indeed. Okay, so that's the Roswell Incident. It's been covered up for many, many years, but like anything else, the truth will eventually come out. There's a lot of great researchers. If you turn on, you watch Ancient Aliens, you see a lot of them on there, the various UFO programs, and it's a very, very interesting topic. So that is Roswell. Very much for being here today. Thank you for being here over the course of this week. I'll be back all next week so we can kind of celebrate the 4th of July and continue to talking about things. But please go back, check out the shows from this week. I talked all about media manipulation, tremendous amount of links there so you can follow it. I've got the links to all the stuff Project Veritas has been doing, staying right on top of what's taking place. If you're at the YouTube channel, subscribe to the videos. Just, you know, that's about it. That's it. Have yourselves a wonderful weekend. I will be back. Think about all the good things in America. Next week we're celebrating 4th of July. It's time for all of us to celebrate. This is our country. It doesn't belong to Democrats or Republicans. It belongs to Americans, and that's all of us. And that's the important thing. All right, my friends, have a great weekend. I will talk to you soon. Peace. I'm out of here.